Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on MisplacedStraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest was last on the show about a year ago when his band, The Dead Daisies, put out a really cool record of blues covers. But he's back now because on April 24th, he's going to release his first ever solo record called New Day. Here to talk about it, please welcome John Corabi. Welcome back, John.
Thanks for having me, buddy. So, just out of curiosity, Gaudiosi,
Gaudiosi, yep.
Gaudiosi, that's Irish, yeah?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, yeah, it was Mick Gaudiosi, but we
Yeah,
changed.
yeah, yeah. We just dropped the Mick part. Anyway, all right, cool.
So I guess when I first got the press materials for this record, I actually had to double check because I could not believe that this was your first solo record. I'm like, there had to be one somewhere in there.
Well, there's a. I will say that this is my first solo record with like full assault of guitar, electric guitars, drums, keyboards, whatever. I have done two other solo records in the past, but I guess for some reason they don't really count. I don't know why. But I did an unplugged record a
Yep.
few years back. Again, that was probably 60% new material. And then I took a few old songs like Father, Mother, Son, Man in the Moon, Hooligans, and I reworked them acoustically. So I did that one in 2013, I want to say. And then, if you remember, I guess it was, well, now it's like 10 years ago, but in 2014, I was doing the Motley Crue record live. And to be quite honest with you, I was like, you know, I'm done with this. I had a great time with Motley. I love that record, but it was like trying to sing that shit like, you know, 20 plus years later, I go, I'm tapping out, like whatever. So I recorded it for Prosperity and put that out as a solo
Yeah.
record as well. So, but this is my first all new material, full band, have at a solo, whatever you want to call it.
And just like the last couple with the Daisies, you work closely with Marty Fredrickson, the great Marty Fredrickson, on this
Yeah.
record. Is it a different relationship with him when you're working on your record as opposed to working with him on a band record?
Well, I think with any band, uh, it's more like a marriage. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, um, you can come in with song ideas, and the band may like the song, but then inevitably the guitar player may come and go, "Hey, I don't really like soloing in the key of F or the key of whatever. Can we change this to?" So you wind up making compromises. For example, one of the songs on the solo record is a song called Love That'll Never Be,
Mhm.
um, which actually appeared on the last Dead Daisies record, Light 'em Up. And the guys loved the song. Manager, everybody loved the song, but felt it was a little too produced
Mhm.
for the Daisies. So what we did is we just got into the room and just really stripped it down. There was parts of the song that we actually removed and tried to approach it a little more direct and like Allman Brothersy,
Yeah.
where Doug was doing some awesome slide work. But I just kind of felt like I really, really loved the original version with these extra uh, parts that were in the song that kind of maybe told the story a little better. So I just said, I'm going to put it on the record, the original
Yeah.
version of it, and just call it a reprise or reprise, whatever you call it, whatever. So, but again, there's in a band situation, you're always kind of, there's a bit of give and take.
Mhm.
with the other members of the band. You know what I mean? Regardless of how developed the song idea is, usually, there's a bit of compromise. So this one, working with Marty, uh, I love working with Marty. Him and I work really well together, really fast. Um, but at the end of the day, even he would have suggestions and go, "Hey, man, I was thinking, let's put a little mandolin on When I Was Young." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, let's try it and see, But ultimately, he would go, "It's your record. What do you want?" So I was kind of, to some degree, driving the boat, if you will. You know what I mean? It was like he just kind of allowed me to make the final call on a lot of things. So it was cool.
And now, when I listen to this
Are you
record,
there?
yep,
Did I lose you?
no, your video froze. There you go. Now you're back. So
Yeah.
your
Okay.
video froze, but I could hear you talking. Yeah. When I first listened to the record, I mean, it sounded like I turned my radio on sometime between 1973 and 1975, and these were the songs that were on there. For me, the ending of Faith, Hope, Love, that vocal just brought Grand Funk to mind. And, of course, that cover of Everyday People. And you've done a lot of styles throughout your career, but did you go in with sort of that classic rock 70s mindset?
Yeah, I mean, even further back,
Mhm.
li- the thing that irritates the hell out of me about the music industry nowadays is when people do a record or a song,
Mhm.
whatever. I call them the suits. Immediately, everybody tries to figure out the category or the box that it belongs in, and I think some of the things that I miss about when I was a kid. Uh, you didn't really have that.
Mhm.
It was like, you know, uh, for example, you've heard the whole record now. There's a song on the record that some people may even go, "Oh, that's a bit country-ish." Uh, but it's funny, like I go back and I think about bands like the Beatles actually covered a country song, Act Naturally by Buck Owens. uh, the Rolling Stones, it wasn't unusual for them to do songs like "I'm Waiting on a Friend" or "Dead Flowers" or "Honky Tonk Woman."
Yeah.
All those songs could be interpreted nowadays as almost country-ish. Led Zeppelin had "Hot Dog." Uh, Queen had Brian May sings it. It's called "39" on. So I feel like the bands when I was growing up, they were given the opportunity or the creativity to just do whatever,
Mhm.
and it didn't get put into a box. It was just under their umbrella. This is the Rolling Stones. This is Led Zeppelin. This is Queen. And so when I was getting together with Marty and I told him that I got offered a solo deal, he goes, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I just want to write. I want to be musical, creative, go old school, 60s, 70s classic rock, but not be afraid to dip my toes into other, genres of music, that I love." So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just write. And if it, there's the old pun, if it knocks your dick in the dirt, then just put it out. You know what I mean? Let other people figure out what box it needs to go into.
Well, I think for a lot of us, kind of along the lines of what you were saying, back then, I mean, we turned the radio on and you'd hear, Led Zeppelin, Stevie Wonder, and Waylon Jennings all played on the same station within an hour.
Yeah.
And bands, bought into that and weren't afraid to go outside genres, like you were saying.
Well, even as fans, though, and I've kind of beaten this little comment up, but it's like a dead horse now. But it wasn't unusual for a kid like me. I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Spectrum was our go-to venue, and it wasn't unusual for a kid like me to go see Black Sabbath on Monday, then go see somebody like Cat Stevens
Yep.
on
It's great.
Tuesday or James Taylor. Go see the Eagles,
Mhm.
and then go see Grand Funk or Led Zeppelin, Foghat, Bad Company, and even go deeper and go see Yes or Jethro Tull or what is it, the Mahavishnu Orchestra. And so when you were like, oh man, I dig music, you just dug music. There wasn't, oh, you're a grunge guy or you're a classic rock guy or you're a whatever. It was just, you just dug music. And even to some degree, I mean, as a kid, I went and saw guys like, Glenn Campbell. I
Mhm.
saw Roy Clark. Roy Clark was an amazing guitar player.
That he was.
And then, Glenn Campbell as well was an amazing guitar
Mhm.
player, but the guy could sing the phone book.
Yeah.
He just had the purest voice. So it wasn't unusual to appreciate the Johnny Cash's or Glenn Campbell's, as well as Led Zeppelin, whatever. So I just really missed that time. We've gotten so corporate and so everything needs its nice little tidy little box to go into and fit into, and that's how you market your band. It's like if you have a song that sounds like Pearl Jam, you need to hashtag Pearl Jam. You know what I mean? It's just like whatever, dude. Like just let the music do the talking. Enjoy it for what it is. And if there's a song on the record you don't like, you know what? That's what the skip button is
Yep.
for.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Now, a couple of songs on this record, Cosibella and Your Own Worst Enemy, were released as singles a few years back.
Yes.
Were a lot of these songs sort of waiting for a project, or were those two unique?
No, 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 no. Like I had started writing. I still like it's insane. But I could probably get together with Marty and do like three more records. We between the two of us, we have so many freaking ideas. It's ridiculous. So I had started working on, because I left the Daisies and I had started working on a solo record, and Marty was the one that's like, all right, here's the deal, dude. Put one song out, let it sit for a bit, while you're working on the rest of the record. That's how a lot of these bands are doing it nowadays. So I'm like, all right. And my problem is, and if I can just be blunt, and I think you can tell just from looking at me, I am the most non-computer literate human being on fucking earth. So I'm sitting there, I hired a PR firm, for the first single, and I'm trying to figure out, oh, wait, what, I can't even spell algorithm. What the fuck what are you talking? You know what I mean? So I just I put those two songs out and I was like, all right, I do not understand this new fangled voodoo called the internet at all. So I just kind of pulled back for a minute and it was odd, like right around that time, the Daisies called and said, hey, you want to come back? So I just kind of put everything on hold and I went back. I did we did the best of tour. Um, and then we went into the studio and we did Light 'em Up and then the blues record. We kind of recorded those at the same time. And then we just got into that grind again of touring and all that shit. But it was like last year I got offered the solo deal. And then the Daisies were like, hey man, we're gonna take a year off. And I go, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
This works out perfectly. So I just said, you know what? I talked to Marty and I said, it's it's with a record label, which is I was for a minute I was a little anti record labels, but at this point I go, acknowledge your faults. You don't know how to use a computer. You don't know how to manipulate all this bullshit, algorithms, hashtags, all that stuff. Let them worry about it. Just write the songs, let them worry about it. So here I am.
Now, lyrically, the title track, New Day, it's a really positive, upbeat song. You mentioned when I was young, it's a very reflective kind of thing. are your lyrics kind of a reflection of your personality, or what is it that influences you when it comes to lyric writing?
I think, everybody that writes lyrics writes where they're at in that moment of their life. You know what I mean? It's funny. I just saw an interview with Robert Plant where he was, Dan Rather is asking him why he doesn't like doing Stairway to Heaven. And he goes, because I like, as great as the song was, those lyrics are from the mind of a 23-year-old boy at the time, which made me want to punch Robert Plant in the throat because I'm like, you fucking wrote Stairway to Heaven when you were 23, 4 albums in. How old were you when you started? You know what I mean? Whatever. But so it's a combination. Like, Marty and I were talking when we wrote When I Was Young, for example. Marty's son was a huge contributor on this record as far as helping produce and even playing. My son has done a lot of touring with me. He was part of my solo band for a while, and we were just sitting there laughing about like how our kids are like, we're always kind of giving them advice, and then we just kind of hope that they run with it and apply it the right way. Uh, so that song came about because we were just talking about, what our sons were doing and how they were kind of following in our footsteps. And so it's like a guy kind of just reflecting on all the right things that he's done and all the wrong things that he's done as he's in conversation with his son or his child. It could be it
Yeah.
could be a woman as well. You know what I mean? It's so that just came out of a conversation. Faith, hope, and love. I mean, if you've listened to that, like you mentioned it earlier, I mean, you cannot sit and watch the news anymore
Yeah.
without just sitting there going, "The fuck are we doing?" Like, you know. And I'm just saying, like, this is all I need, man. Just let me write my music. Let me go play my music, and I'm just gonna really just try and find the positive qualities in humanity. You know what I mean? And
Not easy sometimes.
it is not easy sometimes, but it's that thing like again, like it really kind of frustrates me. Uh, and I don't want to get political, but it's like that old argument. Like I've heard people argue about, uh, when they start talking about, like, for example, gun violence,
Yeah.
and you go, well, they're trying to take your guns. And I'm like, well, I don't know if they're trying to take your guns. I think they're just trying to regulate it a little more. And then you get that argument though, like, well, if they take our guns, the criminals are always going to get them, which is a valid argument. But at what point do you sit there and go, all right, like if I hit you in the face and then you hit me in the face, I'm going to hit you back in the face and you're going to keep, and that's all we're doing is we're just, you know what I mean? At some point, somebody's got to go, wait a minute.
Enough.
Can we just tap out for a minute and just talk about this? Do you know what I mean? So it's that thing where it's just like, man, this, it's hard, but I just really just try to look at the positives in humanity, whatever. So yeah, it's just me kind of looking around and going, well, that's pretty fucked up. Let me write something about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so it is what it is.
Now, you mentioned touring. You do a lot of solo touring. A lot of times you do sort of a stripped down thing. Do
Yeah.
you see yourself putting a full band together and bringing these songs on the road at all this year?
I literally just got home 2 days ago.
Mhm.
I did 3.5 weeks in Europe. It was an awesome, awesome trip. We had a lot of fun. Some of these guys weren't used to touring this way. The band that I put together is just insane. So I have, and again, it was like this effortless process. So Paul Taylor played some keyboards on the record. And while he was sitting there, he goes, "Hey man, let me hear. Can I hear some more of the record?" So we played it for him. And Paul was just sitting there. I love Paul to death. He's so chill, uh, funny guy. And he goes, "Hey, dude, well, I'm kind of retired now from Winger. So if you ever need a guitar player, keyboard player, vocalist guy, count me in." I go, "Well, actually, I do." And then I talked to Michael Devin, who
Mhm.
plays with me in the
Yeah.
Daisies. He had been with Whitesnake. I've known Michael for 25 years, longer. And I just say, "Hey, dude, we're not working this year. So if you want to make, I can't pay you Daisies money, but, you know, he goes, yeah, count me in." I was going to have my son play drums, but my son went left. He's got like this, he's playing with a metal band from California called Steppa. Um, so I, Michael suggested Troy Laketta from Tesla.
Nice.
So I called Troy. He had already heard the record. He goes, "Yeah, dude, count me in." And then I got Jeremy Asbrock, who played with me in the past, but he's obviously for the last 8 or 10 years, he's been playing with Gene and Ace. Uh, it's unfortunate, God rest his soul, Ace passed. So Jeremy was like, "You couldn't have called it a better time, dude. Count me in." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. I got this awesome band together. Let's book some shit." And then Marty called and he goes, "Bro, I fucking love this record. I want to play with you." And I was like, "Okay, awesome." So now it's Troy Laketta, Paul Taylor, Michael Devin, Jeremy Asbrock, Marty Fredrickson, and myself.
Wow. That's a
And
lineup.
yeah, dude, it was so good though. We were doing, we do some Scream, we do some Union, uh, bunch of the new stuff. And then we did a few Dead Daisy songs. And it's like, I got five super strong singers. So the backing vocals are insane. Everybody plays their ass off. I'm pinching myself. Trust me.
Yeah. Will we get you here in the States at all?
Yeah, actually, they're still working on dates for us. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
pretty new. Record's not even out yet. But I'm going over to do a few shows for maybe a week in Europe again, and I'm ending. Frontiers Records does a huge festival every year, so I'm going to do the festival. That's May 3rd. May 4th, I'm on a plane back to America. May 5th, I start in New Jersey with Tom Kiefer and Buck Cherry. Yeah,
Nice. Sounds great. We look forward to it. We've been spending some time here with John Corabi. The record is called New Day. It's out everywhere April 24th. It's just a strong, just a really good rock record, which is all you can ask for. So I definitely recommend giving it a listen. John, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, and best of luck on the road and with the record this year.
thank you, buddy, and appreciate you waving the flag for this kind of shit. So it's
Always, my
awesome.
friend. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, brother.